Frankfurt begins equality as a moral ideal by saying economic egalitarianism is the doctrine that it is desirable for everyone to have the same amounts of income and of wealth, for short, money. What's more, it's not just a mistake, it's positively harmful. The mistaken belief, he says, that economic equality is important in itself leads people to detach the problem of formulating their economic ambitions from the problem of understanding what is most fundamentally significant to them. It influences them to take too seriously, as though it were a matter of great moral concern, a question that is inherently rather insignificant and not directly to the point, namely, how their economic status compares with the economic status of others. It leads them to keep up with the Joneses, in other words. In this way, the doctrine of equality contributes to the moral disorientation and shallowness of our time. Frankfurt considers an argument for egalitarianism, which is worth thinking about. It has two premises. For each person, money has diminishing marginal utility. And second, for each person, the value or utility of money is the same. From which it follows, and here it would be a good exercise to convince yourself of this reasoning, that an equal distribution of money maximizes total value. So if you're a consequentialist and you accept these two premises, then you should be an egalitarian, because being a consequentialist, you think society should be organized so as to maximize total value, and the conclusion says that an equal distribution of money does that. Now, Frankfurt is not a consequentialist, so he could resist the step from the conclusion C to egalitarianism. But in any event, he argues that both premises are false. He has an interesting discussion in particular of P1, that for each person money has diminishing marginal utility. I mean, it certainly does for some people, but Frankfurt questions whether that's true of everyone. And he does draw an important distinction between the marginal utility of certain goods, like, say, food, and the marginal utility of money. Obviously, food has diminishing marginal utility because you can only eat so much. But given that money is the thing that functions as a generic instrument of exchange, you can use it to get anything. You don't have to just spend your money on a single thing like food. It's a lot less clear that money always has diminishing marginal utility. Anyway, that's something to think about and maybe discuss in recitation. So that's an argument for egalitarianism that Frankfurt rejects. His positive view is summed up in these two theses, which we can call the doctrine of sufficiency. So first of all, he thinks that although what's not important is that people have the same amount of money, what is important is that everyone have enough. That's the thesis of sufficiency. A distribution of money is morally right if and only if each person has enough money. And what is it to have enough money? Well, that's explained by the second thesis, called enough. These two things are from these two formulations are from the notes and questions to Frankfurt's essay. A person has enough money if and only if the person will not become significantly less happy by having more money. And here it's worth thinking about a couple of cases raised in the notes and questions, the case of Joseph and the case of Albert, Joseph raises a problem due to so-called adaptive preferences, where one's preferences adapt to one's circumstances. And Albert raises a problem, for Frankfurt's view, due to so-called expensive tastes, where someone would only be happy if they had a huge amount of money to indulge their tastes in fine wine, private yachts, and the like. Here is sufficiency illustrated, and this is enough. And in both these two distributions, everyone has enough. In A, the betas, gammas, and deltas are just over the line, and in B, everyone is very comfortably off, having way more than enough. Question for you, please hit K. Which of these two distributions, A and B, is morally right or morally better than the other? Well, of course, they are the same, according to Frankfurt. They're both morally right. None is morally better than the other.